ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे। Thank you to His Grace Shankar Prabhu for asking me to give this lecture on Canto 4, Chapter 22, verse 15. We had neither do I have any qualifications nor any realizations, and all I'm speaking today is just what I've heard from the Vaishnavas, and I'm humbly repeating whatever I've heard. Reading from the verse 4.22.15. तदहं कृतविश्रम्भः सुहृदो वस्तपस्विनां सम्पृच्छे भवये तस्मिन् क्षेमकेनाञ्जस भवेत्। तदहं कृतविश्रम्भः सुहृदो वस्तपस्विनां सम्पृच्छे भवये तस्मिन् क्षेमकेनाञ्जस भवेत्। तदहं कृतविश्रम्भः सुहृदो वस्तपस्विनां सम्पृच्छे भवयेतस्मिन् क्षेमकेनाञ्जस भवेत्। तदहं कृतविश्रम्भः सुहृदो वस्तपस्विनां सम्पृच्छे भवयेतस्मिन् क्षेमः केनाञ्जसा भवेत्।
तदहं कृतविश्रम्भः सुहृदो वस्तपस्विनां सम्पृच्छे भवेत्तस्मिन् क्षेमकेनाञ्जसा
भवेत्। Synonyms: tat, therefore; aham, I; krita vishrambha, keep being completely assured; suhridaha, friend; va, our; tapasvinam, suffering material pangs, samprache, wish to inquire, bhave, in this material world, etasmin, this, kshemaha, ultimate reality, kena, by which means, ajnasa, without delay, bhavet, can be achieved. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: I'm completely assured that personalities like you are the only friends for persons who are blazing in the fire of material existence. I therefore ask you how in this material world we can very soon achieve the ultimate goal of life. Purport: when saintly persons go from door to door to see those who are too much materially engaged, it is to be understood that they do not go to ask anything for their personal benefit. It is the fact that saintly persons go to materialists just to give real information of the auspicious. Maharaj Prithu was assured of this fact. Therefore, instead of wasting time by asking the Kumaras about their welfare, he preferred to inquire from them whether he could soon be relieved from the dangerous position of the materialistic existence. This was not, however, a question personally for Prithu Maharaj. It was raised to teach the common man that whenever one meets a great saintly person, one should immediately surrender unto him and inquire about the relief from the material pains of existence. Therefore, Srila Narottama Das Tagore says, Samsara Vishanale Diva Nishihya Jwale Judaite Na Kainu Upaya. We are always suffering from the material pangs and our hearts are burning, but we cannot find any way out of it. The materialistic person can also be called as a tapasvi, which means someone who is always suffering from material pains. One can get rid of all these material pains only when he takes shelter of the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. This is also explained by Narottama Das Thakur, Golokera Premadhana Harinama Sankirtan Ratina Janmila Kene Taya. Narottama Das Thakur regretted that he did not pursue his attraction for the transcendental vibration of the Hare Krishna mantra. The conclusion is that all persons in this material world are suffering from the material pains. And if one wants to get rid of them, he must associate with saintly persons, pure devotees of the Lord, and chant the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That is the only auspicious way for materialistic persons. Thank you again. Thank you, Prabhuji, for asking me to speak today again.
The mic, then push it,
Okay.
down a little.
Down?
Yeah,
Better? Better, Prabhuji?
yeah.
Okay. So the verse, the citation here, Samsara Vishanale Diva Nishihi. This is from a song called as Hari Hari Vifale Janama. It's a famous song by Srila Narottama Das Thakur. And the verse Diva Nishi, it just means day and night. The heart of Srila Narottama Das Thakur is burning from the fire of the poison of worldliness. All this, it's the blazing fire is burning. And Narottama Das Thakur is saying here, Na kainu upaya. Upaya means a way. He has not found a way how he can come out of this blazing fire of material existence. So we will, so this blazing fire, so we would have all noted that there is always something that is bothering us. We are always in a constant state of being unsettled, always being some kind of an anxiety, some kind of a constant way of being unsettled. And that is what is being referred here as the blazing fire of material existence. And we sing this, so I'm going to talk about this, but before I talk, I just want to say a word as something about the first sentence of this purport, where Prabhupada is saying, when saintly persons go from door to door, I was before I actually wanted to talk about this blazing fire, but then when you read this first sentence, immediately wanted to talk about one thing. Mahaprabhu himself asked two great personalities in his close associates to go door to door. And they were Nitai, Haridas Thakur. And the verse, it appears in the Madhya Kanda of Chaitanya Bhagavata. I think it is chapter 20. It's the eighth verse of that chapter. I forget maybe 13th chapter. It is the chapter of Jagai Madai. There, Mahaprabhu is giving this instruction. If I remember, Bhale Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Karo Krishna, Shiksha. So, three instructions he's asking Nitai and Haridas Thakur to go and give door to door. And that is to worship Krishna, to chant the names of Krishna, that is Bhaja Krishna, and Karo Krishna Shiksha, and follow Krishna's instruction. Three instructions, and he tells Nitai and Haridas Thakur to go and give door to door. And then at the end of the day, he is asking for a report. What is it? What is the report? And that is the next verse, the 9th verse of the chapter, where he's asking for a report of what happened when he goes preaching door to door. So when great personalities sometimes like this come door to door, that is the greatest fortune. So when it said door to door, I was just suddenly reminded of this. So we'll just go back to this thing about the blazing fire. So we sing every day in the morning, Samsara Dava, Nalali the Loka, Tranaya Karunya, Ghana Ghanatvam. Samsara Dhava, see, it's the same thing as this particular verse cited in the purport of in the purport from the song Hari Hari Bipali. So Samsara Dhava. So here Samsara Dhava Nalali the Loka. So what it means, like, this whole material existence, Bhava, Samsara, is like there is like a burning fire. And then what we want to do, we want to extinguish that fire. And how do we extinguish that fire? Ghana Ganatvam. So this is with all the clouds, and then there is a pouring rain, and then you can extinguish the fire. No matter what the forest fire is, ultimately you need rain. You need rain, and then you extinguish that fire. In the same way, here, what is the solution which is given by Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur is, who will pour the rain? The spiritual master will pour the rain. The spiritual master will pour the rain for this materially afflicted world, and then extinguish the blazing fire of material existence. So Narottama Das Thakur is saying here, Upai means solution, that he has not found a solution. But different verses, and even Narottama Das Thakur himself also gives various solutions to this blazing fire. One solution is there in the Guru Ashtaka, which is the spiritual master. The spiritual master will extinguish this blazing fire. So the another verse where the same thing about this Mahadhavagni comes is the Shikshashtakam. Yesterday, His Grace Yugal Kishore Prabhu spoke about he cited the Shikshashtakam many times. So we will see the first verse here alone. We cite it so many times, but it is such a beautiful verse because the first verse gives so much substance. Cheto, which means the heart. Cheto Darpana, which means the mirror. Cheto Darpana. So the very first verse with Mahaprabhu speaks, he talks about cleansing the heart, the mirror of the heart. Cheto Darpana Marjanam, that means to sweep. The first thing that we need to be doing is sweeping the heart, which is accumulated with dust from over lifetime after lifetime. Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava, which is material existence, Mahadhavagni. It is not some ordinary fire, but it is Mahadhavagni. It's a blazing fire which is burning in everyone's heart. And we need to quench it. There is this constant anxiety, constant the heart is so unsettled that it needs to be quenched. Bhavamaha dhavagni nirvarpanam. So nirvarpanam is the same thing here, which is extinguishing. So what is the method of extinguishing this forest fire? Mahaprabhu is then saying there is a method for that. And what is the method? Shreya. Shreya, the word comes from the word Shri. Shri means fortune. So this Shreya, very fortuitous. What is fortuitous? Kairava. Kairava is a white lotus flower. Chandrika. So the moon that gives a very cooling, the waxing moon especially gives a very cooling, a cooling effect. And this cooling effect, okay, like the white, like a very fortuitous lotus flower, the cooling effect, it just comes. And what is providing this? So this cooling effect, okay, it is just spreading. Okay, Vitaranam. Vitaranam means it's just spreading. And then it fills us with this kind of cooling effect. It spreads, that is Vitaranam. And this is the life and soul of the living entity. Vidya Vadu Jivanam. Vadu means spouse. Vidya Vadu Jivanam. So this is the life and soul of the living entity. Anandham Pudi Vardhanam. So the whole, it's of Ambudi is ocean. Anandam, so ocean of love. It fills with ocean of love. Pratipadam Purnamritha Swadanam. Pratipadam, at every step, it's full of nectar and gives one's taste. Purnamritha Swadanam. Sarvatma. To all the living entities, Snapanam. Param Vijayate. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. So this chanting of the holy names of Krishna will spread like that white lotus flower, and it forms the very knowledge and soul of the living entity. Vidyavadu Jivanam. Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam. Anandham Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam. So let there be victory. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. All glories unto this Shri Krishna Sankirtan. So this verse again talks about the same Bhava Maha Dhavagni, this blazing fire. The same kind of a thing also appears in another verse, which is in Canto 1, Chapter 8 in the Bhagavatam. So before we go, I want to also talk about one more thing before we go. So this kind of, even Krishna actually talks about this in the Bhagavad Gita. If we, he mentions this with a slightly different word, but the meaning is almost the same, which is in the chapter 9, Rajavidya chapter, where he talks about idam tute guhya tamam. Guhya, which is secretive knowledge, it comes in three different categories, which is guhya, which means secretive, and he uses the word in the second chapter. And then there is a Guhya Taram, more secretive, and he uses the word in the 7th chapter. And then he uses the word Guhya Tamam, which is most secretive, and he uses that in the 9th chapter. So there is a secretive, there is a more secretive, and there is a most secretive. And the most secretive of this knowledge is being revealed in the 9th chapter. Idam tute Guhya Tamam Pravakshyami Anusuyave. Anusuya refers to envy. Someone who is envious cannot
Your camera, you see your camera.
you're okay.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this mic is. Yeah, this one. Yeah.
So there is a Guhya Taram, Guhya Uttamam, the highest secret. And what is that he's saying? Jnanam Vijnanam Sahitam. So he gives, Krishna is giving both the knowledge and the application of knowledge, the science of knowledge, which is Vijnanam. Yajnatva Moksha yase ashubha. And then, so this is the same word here, ashubhat. Ashubha, shubha means auspiciousness. Ashubha is inauspiciousness. And he says, what is the way to get out of this Getting out is called moksha. Getting liberated out of this ashubha. Moksha yase ashubhat. Same thing. From this blazing fire of material existence, what is the method to get out? And what is the ashubhat? This Queen Kunti Devi is saying this, bhave. It's the same word Kunti Devi is using, bhave. That is this material existence, bhave asmin. Okay, in this, there is a chain of this material suffering. The first one, which Kunti Devi says, is the cause of all this is called avidya. The word avidya means ignorance. So a person forgets their true identity. First, in the Brahmabhuta, the Brahman platform, just that one is the soul. That's the first avidya there. And forgetting that one is the eternal servant of Krishna. That's in the Bhagavan platform. So this avidya, a person forgets one's spiritual identity and identifies with the physical body. That's avidya, ignorance. And then this leads to the next thing, which is the kama. So that is the verse in Bhagavatam 1.8.35, I think, which says kama, avidya, kama, karma. Three things Kunti Devi mentions here. And this is the cause of what she calls as klesha. Kleshya mananam, that is means the living entities, the klesha comes from three different things. One is called avidya, which is the ignorance. And then it leads to kama, which is called the desire. Okay, so the desire, so there is the bija, the desire is then fed. And then this means like there is a material desire, which leads to what is called as karma. Okay, which is and then they go in the cycle of repeated endless cycle of karma, going back and forth, action and reaction. And what does this lead to? Klesha, the suffering. These actions bind the soul in this cycle of repeated birth and death. And Kunti Devi in the same verse also gives a solution to it, which is Shravanam and then Smaranam. She gives two solutions to this. One is, and then she also gives Archana also. Three solutions she gives. One is hearing about the Lord, and then Smarana, which is remembering the Lord, and the other is Arhani, which is worshipping the Lord. 1.8.35 Bhagavatam. And then, so this is another solution being offered. So for this, if we see here, this Bhava Mahadavagni, there are different solutions being offered in different things. Narottama, in the purport itself, Narottama Das Thakur, he is citing a solution which is chanting the holy names. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his very first verse, he says, Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. And then in the prayers of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he talks about the spiritual master extinguishing. And Prabhupada also cites in the purport here about the pure devotees, that the pure devotees, association with the pure devotees, they will absolve us of all these and of this chain of material suffering. And what is a chain of material suffering? Which is avidya, leading to kama, karma, and then klesha, which is the ignorance, desire, action, and suffering. So, is it possible to yesterday, His Grace Yugal Kishore Prabhu also cited this verse, Prakrite Kriyamanani Ne Karmani Sarvashaha Ahankara Vimudhatma Kartaham Iti Manyate. So this is a famous verse, Bhagavad Gita in 3.27, which talks about that the doer of the activities is Prakriti, the material, the modes of material nature. Even though we think that we are the doer. So this verse here is a very important verse. This verse is talking about the destiny, about how the word destiny may not be palatable to a lot of people, but that's basically what this is referring to. That this is Prakrite Kriyamanani. The modes of material nature are the doer of the activity. The very next verse talks about the free will, which is Mahabhahu. The very next verse, or the 3.28. So in Bhakti Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami talks about this in Anuchaya, in the 6.204.7, there he talks about the Bhagavatam actually gives this fact that the living entities are placed under the stringent grip of material nature. They're placed under the stringent grip of material nature in variety of situations. Unless we take to Krishna consciousness, there is not much we can do about this. Therefore, and this itself is the evidence of the existence of the Supreme Lord. So the Lord may not be visible to us in all these situations, but He's there behind. When we even look at the material nature, we can see that the Lord is behind it. That is what Jiva Goswami is saying. Sukham Aindriyakam Daitya Dehayogena Dehinam Sarvatra Labhe Devad Yatha Dukham Ayatnataha. So this means Deha Yogena Dehinam Sarvatra Labhyate Devad. The word Devad means it is all being provided by the controllers of this material nature. The proprietors of the material nature are the different demigods, and they themselves under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. So in this material world, in any form of life, there is always happiness and distress. Like we don't need, just as how the distress is also coming from the distress and happiness, they both are coming automatically, ultimately by the grace of Krishna. The distress is also by the grace of Krishna. And sometimes we don't realize that the distress is so important for us in our lifetime. The distress is so important that will help us to become Krishna conscious. And sometimes we get so, many times we get so enamored, so engulfed in the distress that we think that the distress is something which is not wanted, something. But that is the most important thing that is needed for our life. And this distress will make us a better devotee. And therefore, this verse, it says that no one invites, people don't go invite distress. People don't go invite distress unless you're an exalted personality like Queen Kunti Devi. So this is in the 7th canto, chapter 6. It is that's where this appears, where it says no one is inviting this distress, but it still comes. Similarly, we don't have to endeavor we don't have to endeavor for this material happiness, because we cannot increase our material happiness even a bit. Whatever is bound to come will come. And therefore, we will obtain them automatically. Thus, there is no need to waste time fighting against this distress, working very hard for this happiness. So our business in this human life, Prabhupada says, is to establish the relationship with Krishna. Therefore, we cannot avoid this happiness, just as how we cannot avoid the distress as well. It just comes and it just goes. The best form of this human life is to establish our relationship with Krishna. So, and we can also see this in the very first canto itself. Tasyaiva hetu prayatetu kovido. The word hetu means cause. The word hetu, what is the root cause of this? As far as happiness is concerned, it is derived, okay, it comes. Tasya, it's a famous verse which is frequently cited. Just as in course of time, we obtain miseries, even though we do not desire them. It comes again and again in different parts of the Bhagavatam. We may not desire them, but it automatically comes. In the road, sometimes one might just lose some valuable item. The word for on the path, the word used in Sanskrit for that is called pati chutam tishtati dishtarakshitam. That dishtarakshitam means, like, sometimes, like, you might just lose some valuable on the path, but based on our karma, if we are not supposed to lose it, no matter what happens, it will just still lie there. Nobody will see it. Dishta Rakshitam, even though everybody is seeing it, it will still remain protected. This 7th canto, chapter 2, verse, chapter 2, I don't remember the verse, there it appears. So, however, if you have to lose something, no matter how secure in which vault you put it in, it will get lost. Therefore, excessive endeavor towards anything is of no use. There is of no use because it is whatever is bound to happen is going to happen. Manoratan karoti uchair. So jano devan hatan. So all this is an ordinary person is determined to act based on the desires. So the desires are all, this is the bija, the seed has already been put, and the desire is, even though he may desire, the person may desire something. What this verse is saying is Deva Hatanapi. Okay, Jana, which is a living entity, but Deva Hatanapi. But Prabhupada is translating Deva Hatan as the fate. Okay, this is in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. The fate is preventing the living entity from achieving it. We may desire whatever we want, but the fate will prevent it. Deva Hatan, the proprietors of the material world, they prevent those things from happening. And all these things I'm discussing from the material platform. All these things are being discussed in the material platform. So the material existence, it causes discontent in regard to fulfilling all our material desires and achieving more and more money. So all the time we might think, so we want to achieve more money, but this is the cause, and this desire and leading to the activities is the cause of the repeated life, repeated birth and death. This is cited in the 8th canto of the Bhagavatam, 8.19. Again, I don't remember the verse, but then one who is satisfied by whatever comes by destiny, that person is fit for liberation. If we are satisfied with whatever comes by destiny, then we are charan vindati yad dishtan. So that this means, and this is in this very same canto, according to our destiny, sometimes one receives punishment, sometimes one is driven out, they don't even have food to eat. Similarly, the living entity, influenced by various desires, we wander in different species of life. We wander in different species of life. Nunam hi adrishta nishtoyam, adrishta paramo jana. That means this is every person is controlled by this cycle of, by this stringent grips of material nature that they, which in turn determines one's fruitive activities. Okay, this stringent grip of material nature. So even if one has a son or a daughter, and if they are no longer present, this is the hardest thing for a parent. If there is a son or a daughter, and then if they are no longer present, this also is due to an unseen destiny. It is unseen act, an unseen destiny. And what is a solution to all these things is the exhibition of that free will, where if we take to Krishna consciousness, immediately that free will that we break out of the stringent grip of this material nature. People think many cases that they have control over things. They think that they can go solve problems, but those problems are not solvable. Those problems are not solvable. Anybody who says that they solve, there are so many programs where people think that they're going to solve the material problems and then relieve them out of the clutches of material existence. And then they go and then everything is solved and they live very happy. But those problems are not solvable. A very intelligent person will learn to live with those problems. To learn to live with those problems, because when we are in the middle of the ocean, sometimes the ocean wave takes us down, sometimes it takes it up, but one cannot go change the nature of the ocean. The nature of the ocean waves is that it is going to sometimes push you down, sometimes it's going to pull you up. And when you pull up, one might think for a minute, wow, what an amazing person I am. I'm succeeding so much. I'm having so much success. That might appear for a short time in our life, but that is an illusion. Mama Maya Duratyaya. It is so difficult to cross that illusion. Mameve Prapatiti, unless one comes to Krishna, it is very hard to cross that illusion. That illusion, Mama, is very hard to cross. One could be even the greatest impersonalist who does not understand the existence of Krishna, the personality of Krishna. Even for that person, it is Krishna who finally gives even that Sahyamukti. Whether the person realizes it or not, finally Krishna is the one who gives that liberation even to that impersonal. No matter what, even the material opulence, what to speak of liberation, even material opulence, whatever we get, everything is somehow or the other by the grace of Krishna. Even though Krishna is not directly, he does not directly, since he's fully spiritual in the his personality of the spiritual personality of the absolute truth, and he is disconnected with even his expansion. He expands as Vishnu even for this material cosmos. Even in the ultimately, everything is under the purview of Krishna. Such a Krishna, where the wonderful Krishna, who is the proprietor of all that is happening, like just imagine all the entire spirit existence. We had that word yesterday in the Santi, the existence. Sat, the entire existence is Krishna and also emanating from Krishna. That is the wonderful Krishna. And one cannot understand it because of that one word called as asuya, or the envy. And therefore, Krishna says here to Arjuna in this verse, Pravakshyami Anasuya. That means, unless, because Arjuna is non-envious, that is why he is giving those instructions. So, unless, because non-envious nature is the reason why someone would want to even talk about Krishna to the person. We are not able to understand about Krishna because we are envious of Krishna. Somehow or the other, it is there. Anybody, if you see, if they do not want to glorify Krishna, there is that envy. There is that envy. How can there be such a person who is the proprietor not only of the material universes, but the very existence, the spiritual existence, and that is the wonderful Krishna. Krishna, he's so wonderful that it is impossible for the conditioned soul to even comprehend Krishna. And by a great fortune, the word used by Mahaprabhu here in the verse is Shreyaha, which means fortune. This comes from the word Shri, which is fortune. By some fortune, they come in contact with a pure devotee. That is the fortune. That is the actual grace. Any kind of material fortune that one earns, that is not fortune. That will go away any day. No, but today it can be taken away in a second. It can be taken away in a second. That is no fortune at all. It can be taken. The Durga Devi, who is extremely powerful in the material nature, she can take away everything within a second. One natural disaster is enough. It can take away. Krishna doesn't need to come for all those kind of things. Just the material proprietor itself can take away everything. Therefore, that great fortune that one can have is that association with the pure devotee. Somehow or the other, if one comes in contact with the pure devotee, then that is the greatest fortune. Yesterday in the lecture, his case, Yugal Kishore Prabhu said one thing, that even after many, many years, even after 20, 25 years, if somebody is still chanting those 16 rounds, there is one thing behind it, and that is the grace of Krishna. The grace of Krishna is there behind that chanting. Otherwise, one will not be able to sustain it. One will not be able to do it. There are so many distractions, so many things to pull away, so many things to, but for somehow the other, if Krishna has given that opportunity to be under the care of a devotee, that is the greatest fortune. So praying for this fortune for all of us, I will end this discussion here. I again offer my humble obeisances unto all the great personalities here. If I have said anything incorrect, uh, please please let me know. In that way, I can use this for my own improvement as well. And thank you again to His Grace Shyam Kishore Prabhu for asking me to speak today. It's a great fortune. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Well, and Prabhuji, any thoughts online? See, there are many devotees online. Prabhuji, the question Prabhuji is Yugal Kishore Prabhu is asking, I don't know whether I'll know the answer to that question. How to get rid of envy? Prabhuji, can you give the answer yourself? So I will attempt, Prabhu, based on whatever is there in the purport here, and then maybe you can fill in for the benefit of the community. This envy is the most we always say that is the root cause of all the problems that come after. And the three things which at least the verse says is, and the purport says, number one is spiritual master, subservience to spiritual master, following the instruction of the spiritual master, which is extremely important. And even if we are not in the personal association of the spiritual master, if we follow the instruction of the spiritual master. Number two, the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. This chanting of the names of Krishna is self-sufficient process. All the Nama, Guna, Rupa, Leela, everything is contained in the name of Krishna. The names of Krishna being on the absolute platform, there is nothing else that is actually needed. The name is fully sufficient, fully self-sufficient. Chintamani, Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. It is full of nectar, and this name of Krishna is so, it is Krishna. It is same as the form of Krishna, the activities of Krishna, the abode of Krishna's residence. Everything is identical. That name itself is all purifying. So when we carefully chant with attentiveness, after taking care of the 10 offenses, and if we take care of attentiveness as well, this holy name itself will form is the process, the abhideya, and the prayojana, the goal. And this is an all-encompassing spiritual activity. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the started the dharma for this age, as stated in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 5th chapter, verse 32, the verse Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parsadam Yagner Sankirtanam Prayer. Yagner, what is the Yagnya? Sankirtanam Prayer. Yajantihi Sumedashaha. Who is going to take it? Medha means intelligent. Sumedha, the wise. Good intelligence. Intelligence can be bad as well. So it's qualified as Sumedashaha. Good intelligence, the wise. The wise will follow Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the second is chanting the holy name. Third is the association of the devotees of the Lord. The association of the devotees of the Lord. If we see the Bhagavatam, most of the devotees, they have their spiritual master, who is Narada Muni. Narada Muni is so compassionate. He is the cause of so many devotees who have formed. And if we are in touch with these devotees, that will solve all these the problems, starting with envy. And then His Grace Yugal Kishore Prabhu himself said this verse many times yesterday. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna. That humility. Sanatana Goswami, when he first met, when he took the instructions from Mahaprabhu in Varanasi, there in Varanasi, he held Danta. The verse used in Chaitanya Charitamrita is the Danta. In the teeth, he put the grass. He held the grass in his teeth, and he did Dandavat Pranam, okay, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is the humility. And then he talks about his own humility, that he has been in association with the mlechas, in the meat eaters. And what qualification does he have? Even though Sanatana Goswami, he was born in the family of a Saraswata Brahmana, but then he talks about the humility with which he approaches Mahaprabhu. That is an example of how one should be. So this kind of humility that is being expressed to the Vaishnavas, that is a way to get that. So again, is a very important thing towards our path in getting out of this asuya and reaching this platform of anasuyave, which Krishna is saying, pravakshyami anasuyave idam tute guhya uttamam. The supreme knowledge he's giving them, jnana vijnana sahitam. And why he would give it, this anasuya, getting out of this envy, by this humility. This humility is extreme, and that is also very important in this particular verse, because Maharaj Prithu, he is approaching the Kumaras with so much humility. There is so much humility, and humility in that approach towards the four Kumaras, who are actually even more even senior to Lord Shiva himself, because they appeared even before Lord Shiva appeared from Brahma. And therefore, that is they are fully in the spiritual platform, and he is appearing so humble and asking the right kind of questions. That is briefly the answer, Prabhuji. Would you want to add anything? Thank you, Prabhuji.
How to break the chain of thought.
The chain of the suffering?
Chain of thought. When we are getting a bad thought, the chain is increasing. How to break it?
So when I'm trying to understand the question, Mataji, so you're talking about the desire, which is leading to our activity, and how to break that chain.
That it is an untoward effect. If something bad thought comes, and the thought will be continuously productive. How to break it?
Okay, very nice question, Mataji. Thank you. The question here is that when we have thoughts which are not conducive to spiritual growth, and how we can actually break that chain of thoughts, and so that it doesn't afflict.
Bother us. It doesn't bother us
continuously. It's a two-part. I'll attempt to answer your question, Mataji. If I don't answer, if I cannot answer fully, Prabhuji is sitting right next to us. So, and on our own, any kind of unwanted thought with our own endeavor is not possible. It is not possible because that is the reality. Because this is coming from the Bhagavad Gita 7.14. Because it is under the stringent grip of material nature. Devi is a gunamai, under the three modes of material nature, which are so stringent. Gunamai, it's still, he says, mai. Those modes of material nature are also under the control of Krishna. But any progress that we are doing in Krishna consciousness can break that cycle of thought. And what is that progress? the number one thing that will help, it just sometimes we keep on hearing this word association of devotees, but it is not some ordinary thought. Unless we are in any, if we seriously contemplate and reflect ourselves, any progress that we would have made is because of some devotee, some Vaishnava, out of their costless mercy, Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu, because of their ocean of mercy, they are an ocean of mercy. Somewhere or the other, everything that we follow, there is some Vaishnava devotee behind it. So when we are in that association, that will help us to break the thought. And sometimes we take lagu, which is very lightly. We take this thing about, sometimes we don't even understand the value of the association that we have. The association of the devotees, sometimes because devotees are so nearby the place where we live, and we don't even realize sometimes how valuable that association is. There are so many places in America where there are no temples nearby. It is so hard to come in association with devotees. But look at what we have here. We have a temple which is rich with devotees. We have we have great devotees here who are who are constantly keeping us in touch with the spiritual platform. This we sometimes we don't understand what we have. That association is not easy to come, and that is the real grace. And with that association, one can always break these kind of thoughts. Having an amazing mentor, a spiritual mentor, being in touch with devotees, always talking about Krishna, dovetailed, anukulya, what is ever is favorable to Krishna, we don't have to do much. Krishna Anushilam, we don't have to do much there. All we have to do is stay in touch with devotees. When we stay in touch with devotees, but with gratitude, because sometimes we don't realize what is it that we got, what is the good fortune we get, we don't realize, we take it for granted. We take it for granted, and when that comes, it is so easy for us to like get a transfer to some other place where there is no temple, there are no devotees, and then we have to it is okay. Even there we can, in this day and age, maybe through internet and through Zoom calls or whatever, we may get an association somehow or the other. But it does make a lot of difference when there are, even that is okay. Some association is okay, because I'm not giving that much importance only to Vapu alone. The Vani, following the instructions is actually more important in that sense. But that association of devotees will surely help us in breaking these thoughts. And a very important thing is chanting. We need to chant properly. And the name, there are only there are three words there, all in the absolute platform. Hare Krishna Rama, referring to the energy of the Lord and the energetic absolute truth. And everything is contained in those three names itself, Hare Krishna and Rama. And when we chant those properly, we take it so much again for granted. We don't chant properly. That is the big problem. At least I'm only talking about myself here. I'm not talking about anybody else here. So, but if we get the chanting resolved properly, praying to the spiritual master, praying to the senior devotees who are actually guiding us, and focus on those three words. When we say the word Krishna, we say properly, we hear it. That is the first thing. Everywhere we see the word Shravana is actually always mentioned first. Hearing is so important. Hearing the word Shravana. It is when we hear all mundane stuff, it is all that is all conditioning those thoughts. The thought is fully in the material platform, that it is fully already being conditioned. So, but if we hear the glories of Krishna, we hear the names of Krishna, we hear about his pastimes, we hear all in the association of devotees, that will bring us out of this material conditioning of the thoughts, and the thoughts will become spiritual in nature. So what is the goal here is, like, we cannot rectify our material thoughts. But what we can do, we can transform the material thoughts into spiritual thoughts. The material thoughts, we cannot do anything about it. It's going to be there. It is conditioned, whether it is in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance. In one of these three modes, it's there. It can be even sattva guna, but we can transform it from the material thoughts to the spiritual thoughts. Does that answer, Mataji?
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
And for me, the nature will help. As soon as I go from four walls, if I go outside, then my chain of thought will automatically, maybe the Krishna will take away. The nature continuously have God. So that helps me. So thank you for your nice explanation.
Thank you, Mataji. Any other thoughts online, or we can end this session?
Same answer, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. You actually, when you were answering, I was just reflecting on how Prabhupada made this.
Vanchakalpadrubhyascha kripasindubhyeva cha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo. Thank you. Hare Krishna.